You can begin your interview by saying your name and outlet.
Hi, I'm Whitney Evans from TV Fanatic. How are you, little Marvin?
Wonderful, thank you.
Great. So, can you kind of describe for our audience here a little bit about this season of them in your own words?
Yeah, sure. This season takes place in 1991, in the days after the sort of the Rodney King tape is released, and the shockwaves that sort of sent through Los Angeles. And during that week, we're watching a woman, Dawn Reeve, who's a homicide detective, and one of the only Black women in the homicide division, navigate this series of crimes. And as she's drawing kind of closer to a killer, we also see something sinister and malevolent grip her and her family. So it's watching a woman have to sort of navigate a series of crimes, but also save herself and her family from something she can't explain.
hmm And did you have like something that was like kind of inspired you to go this, from the first season of this? So it's kind of a big jump in terms of, the time frame and everything. So was there something that kind of inspired you, or was there something that you really, made you want to tell this story this season?
I think there's a few things. I think socioculturally, I knew that week in particular was a very tumultuous week in LA's history, and I thought watching a woman navigate the complexity and the thorniness of that environment while she's trying to track a killer, that was very, very fascinating to me. But I would also say I'm just a child of the time. Like I love the 90s with my entire heart. I'm nostalgic for it. I love the music. I love the movies. When it dawned on me that some of my favorite movies of all time came out in that time period, like literally Misery, Cape Fear, Silence of the Lambs, Boys in the Hood, Menace to
hmm
Society, all of those movies came out in that year to a year and a half period that our show takes place, and that was mind blowing for me. So just
hmm
sort of artistically and creatively, I knew the sandbox of that was going to be it from the
Yeah.
minute. Yeah.
And were there any challenges that you discovered, from first season to second season? So doing a second season of a series, especially it being an anthology, or was there some challenges that you kind of weren't expecting that came up this season?
I mean, there's always the sort of the requisite challenges of making television. I would say nothing specific.
hmm
It was a completely different experience. In a lot of ways, maybe I was looser. I think when you're making your first season of TV, there's a lot of like, and there's always pressure, but I think there was more of a playful, to be honest with you, sense of making this season that I feel like everybody shared. So it was actually lovely. Yeah.
And just quickly, is there anything that you hope that the audience is able to take away from this season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always endlessly fascinated. I think at the end of the day, them always has a family at the heart of the show. There was one in the first season, there's one in this season, and I'm endlessly fascinated by those dynamics and by the ways in which our history plays a part in those dynamics, whether we are aware of the history or not. And so I think watching that, I hope that people are able to get something out of that. That it's not only horrifying, but could be heartbreaking and thought-provoking at the same time.
Sure. Well, I certainly did through the episodes I was able to screen. So
Uh,
thank
thank,
you. It was
thank you so
nice
much.
talking to you.
You too. I appreciate you.
Yes.